Hello, everyone. Adam here, your host of the Baseball World Today podcast. We're going to get right into it. When I woke up this morning, I did not think we'd have a lot to talk about tonight, but not a lot of moves, but certainly some more rumors and a couple of moves for sure. But a lot of news has come through since then, so I'm ready to just get right in and talk about it. First thing we'll talk about is the Mets again. Apparently, they're still interested in bringing Chris Bryant. And to make this happen, they would probably have to trade Francisco Alvarez. And honestly, I feel like that's a move the Mets really could do because they brought in McCann already to be their catcher, and he's under a 4-year deal. The real thing is the Mets, if the Mets think Bryant is a guy worth trading for. If they think he can bounce back, then Alvarez is probably a good guy to give up. But however, if they don't think he's going to bounce back and have a near rookie or second year season like he's had before, then honestly they might hold on to Francisco and see if they can swing him to get a different player, maybe one that they know has more value or more years to them. So that's a very interesting story. It's one to certainly keep your eye on. Next, we're going to start with my favorite story of the day. Rusney Castillo signs overseas with the Golden Eagles. Oh man, I will never forget thinking this guy would be so good when we gave him a 6-year, $72 million contract. I saw a picture of today of Rusney Castillo and Yoenis Cespedes in the same uniform for Red Sox. What a throwback that was. Honestly, I've always thought Rusney has been good in AAA. The problem is, I forget what rule it is there'd be some sort of hit against the salary cap for the Red Sox to bring him up. So that's why after he was bad for like a year in the majors or so, they outrighted him down, I believe. And once he got down there, it's basically like a glass ceiling. He's been good enough to get called up, but like never really has because of the huge potential salary hit, and the Red Sox have always been near the cap. So hopefully he can have a good season over there, and who knows, maybe we'll see him the next season in 22 and maybe helping a team. Unfortunately, the contract was 6 years for him, though, not unfortunately, because he got paid $72 million, but it kind of hurts his real major league chances now, so I feel kind of bad in that sense, but not really, since he took $72 million from us. Next, we're going to get on to Marcell Ozuna, one of the more interesting free agents of this offseason. That is because Ozuna is one of the premier hitters out there, I'd say. The problem is his defense is quite atrocious. So when he was able to play just DH last year, it really helped his value, but we're still waiting on word about the DH. So I think, man, hopefully I'll keep saying it, hopefully they figure it out soon, because Ozuna really could lose out on a lot of money if it's not decided soon. And it seems like that's going to be what's happening. He's losing out on a lot of money. Let's see what else we got. Kyle Schwarber, this is a big one. Has signed with the Nationals for $10 million. Now, I'll say the Nationals still could use another outfielder, preferably a more defensive outfielder. Especially if it would be good for them to have a DH for Schwarber, but Schwarber has always been a very high potential person who, in the right situation, could do a lot of damage, but quite frankly, I used to really love Schwarber. I'm not very high on him. I have to keep it real with everyone. I've always loved him, but I don't know. He's never really put it together. Lots of swing and miss in his game. Always hit for low average. He certainly can connect, but hopefully he could put it together with the Nationals this year. But to me, he's not someone I'm expecting to have an incredible season. However, if he can bring up the average a little bit, I believe he can certainly be a solid player. Let's bring up his stats really quick. While I do that, Andrew Benintendi apparently can be traded from the Red Sox, and a move that would make me probably cry because he is my favorite player. Interesting to hear that, though, however, because of the fact that he's coming off his by far worst season, and it seems the Red Sox want to do this for pitching prospects, but if I'm them, I would want to wait to do this and see what happens in a year. Hopefully he can regain his value, but that doesn't seem to be the case right now. back on to Schwarber. So first of all, to note with Schwarber, the defense has always been terrible. Just straight up. That's something very important to note if he does have to play the field. Now, through the career, he's been really mostly a solid hitter throughout the career. 782 OPS, 823, 871, which is higher than I expected, but 700 last year with a 188 average. I feel like for him, it's all about if he can keep the average and on base at a good rate, then he will probably have a pretty good year. However, if it dips, it's going to just kill his production, and yeah, it won't be looking good for the Nationals. I'm honestly kind of surprised that Schwarber got $10 million, quite frankly, because of, I'll cite this again, Brad Hand was told he wasn't worth $9 million. I know it's kind of different, but kind of a bit of a surprise to me that he got $10 million, but good for him. Lots of more news, actually. Mets are officially out on Odorizzi now. It seems their chances on Springer and Bauer especially have decreased. I still think they should get Springer, but again, you can't knock this team for whatever it does the rest of the offseason. They've already brought in McCann and Lindor, so it's certainly been a good offseason for him. I do expect some more, though, especially in the bullpen, and maybe another bat. Also worth noting, Bauer and Odorizzi definitely don't make as much sense now because they brought in Carrasco. And I forgot to mention this last time, but David Peterson was very good once he got called up last year, and he seems to be fighting with Matz for the 5th spot in the rotation, and which is also good because now Seth Lugo will be in that bullpen full-time, which he should be. Other news, Devers and the Red Sox have not been talking on extension. Understandable, I guess, if you're Red Sox, but I hope at some point soon talks can begin, because I don't want to see such a good player like this leave with the Red Sox getting nothing in return. He started off very slowly last year, but was able to have a tremendous second half with a near 800 OPS, but 916 the year before, led the league in doubles, 32 homers, 115 RBIs. Kid has all the tools. They want to keep him at third base for now, but this is still, that last year was his age 23 season too. The kid is still ridiculously young. I think the Red Sox should try and extend him as soon as possible. One more move before the big kind of news break. It seems like Nelson Cruz will only be able to get a 1-year deal with the Twins. He originally wanted 2, but as time goes on, it seems less and less. I do think he'll definitely end up going back to the Twins. They are perfect fits for one another, but as time goes on, it doesn't seem like he'll get the 2-year deal, which is unfortunate for him, but just how the market has really been this offseason. Now for one of the bigger pieces of news of today, is Tatis and his possible $300 million contract. Seems crazy, but $300 million. Mets fans cover years because this is probably how much Lindor is going to want now. So, not good for that, but Mets should still definitely try and get him done. This is kind of crazy to me. Keep in mind, not too long ago, Acuna got a $100 million contract extension. So what does this tell us? It tells us a few things, I think. One thing is, first of all, the years are a little different, but 3 years does not equal $200 million ever in baseball. So, man, Tatis clearly knows his worth. I think that's what it is. He clearly knows his worth, whereas Acuna knew he was good as well, but it was kind of probably tougher for him to pass up on $100 million since he hadn't really played a full season yet. A little bit different of a case from Tatis here, I believe. Another thing is, I believe now the Padres have seen what has happened around the league, I believe. So they've seen what's happened to the Red Sox. They just saw what happened to the Indians. They do not want their star player walking out on them. They do not want, especially after making all these moves to compete, they want and need this guy with them for the long haul. And good for them for doing that. It's never a bad idea for teams when they know their guy is the guy to go out and try and keep him. Red Sox tried it multiple times with Mookie Betts, but he was pretty insistent on becoming a free agent. which he didn't do, but then the Dodgers blew his socks off with an offer and he had to take it. It's different for every player how they look at these deals, but I don't think Tatis will be turning down $300 million over 11 or so years because how can you? I mean, there's not many bigger contracts than that in the game. So to think he's only 22 currently is ridiculous. To think you could get a contract until he's 33 with about 300 million next to it, man. So I think a big reason for this has definitely been seeing what's happened. At the time Acuna got his extension, these other two, Mookie and Lindor, had not been traded. So I feel like the Braves were just kind of seeing if they could get the extension done, and they obviously did. So obviously really good for the Braves to only get Acuna at $100 million. That seems like the steal of a century right now. But man, if the Padres get this done, $300 million won't feel that bad for Tatis, I believe. And they will not feel bad about it for one day, I think. So now we're going to talk about something a little bit different here. And that is the playoff situation in the NL. Right now, if you look down the divisions, NL East, lots of good teams. 4 potentially playoff teams. And the Marlins made it last year, but I kind of doubt it this year because the Nationals and Phillies will be a little bit retooled. I think there'll be potential to go for a run, the both of them. Now, if you look at the NL West as well, oh, and obviously the Mets and Braves are both ridiculous. And then if you look at the NL West, obviously you have the Padres, you have the Dodgers. Sorry, I'm forgetting these names now. And even the Rockies are not that bad of a third team, or the Diamondbacks. If you look at the NL Central, it is grim. It is so bad. I think easily the top 4 teams in the NL will all be from the East and West. Potentially 5 to 6, quite frankly, because even the Reds are the best team currently, and they're trying to sell. The Cubs, playoff team, trying to sell as well. So I'm not sure what's going to really happen. It's going to be very interesting because it seems like 2 of those top 4 teams I mentioned are going to have to play in a wild card situation. And man, it's not good to see one of those teams knocked out so early when you might have a terrible team winning a division. So what do we do about this? Well, the main thing I have always supported is the expanded playoffs. Not always supported. I definitely can't say I've always supported it, but ever since I saw it last year, I've supported it. I think it makes a lot of sense because then any team that gets in has an equal playing field, I believe. And that means in a team like whoever wins the NL Central, I'll say Reds right now, who are good, but I don't think better than, let's say, the Padres, who I think are going to finish second in the West. No way the Reds will be better than the Padres. And it'd kind of be a monstrosity if they played the Mets in the wild card and lost because they have DeGrom. Man, it'd be a monstrosity to see that team get out so quickly. So I believe that's what I feel like. This in the NL is a really good case for why the MLB should keep the expanded playoffs just how it was last year. Again, would really help if they made these decisions because then we could see more teams going for it, like these 4 have. However, there's nothing really I can do about it. So yeah, if I was the MLB, 100% I'm keeping that. I want to see these top 4 teams play as many times as possible. And I want to see those teams in the NL Central play as little as possible. Quite frankly, if we had an 8-team playoff like last year, I think, so what was the rule? It was top 2 from each division. So I think it would be the top 2 from each division. I definitely don't think there'd be a 3rd team from the NL Central. I'll say that. Heck, if we could cut out the 2nd team and just have division winners and then the rest of the rest, I'm not sure a 2nd team would even make it from the NL Central. Because I just think if you put the Rockies, the Phillies, or the Nationals in the NL Central, they're all quite arguably going to be the top team in there, especially after the Reds continue to sell players and the Cubs continue to sell players. So that's just my thoughts on it. Let's recap on everything that's happened. Kyle Schwarber, $10 million, kind of a surprise to me, but could certainly have a breakout year. I'm not as high as him, but I understand it. Please don't trade Benintendi. Please don't trade Benintendi. Mets are out on Odorizzi, likely out on Power. Could push for Springer, could push for Bryant. Rusney Castillo is signing overseas. Ozuna and Cruz are waiting it out right now as their market seems to deteriorate. Devers doesn't seem like he will get an extension, but Tatis certainly is going to get a big one. And I think we should all talk about the possible playoff situations next year and how poor the NL Central is going to affect other teams. So, not affect them, but I think you guys understand after everything I explained. That's all for today. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at the baseball WOR2. I'll have links to all my other channels as content on there. So I always post when new pods are out. So certainly drop a follow there. Follow on Spotify. And yeah, thank you for listening. Have a good day.